Okay, here we go. So this is my world record run of Firerod percent. This is a hacked version of the Minish cap, which places a Firerod in the first chest in Link's house. And if you play the Minish cap, you'll know that, well, you wouldn't have come across the Firerod in your regular gameplay. And that's because the Firerod is this glitched out item hidden in the game data that was left over by the devs. And we can just speculate as to what it was used for, but when you use the Firerod in game, it lets you copy and paste tiles down in positions around Link. And that is super useful in a speedrun because we can copy floor tiles and paste them over wall tiles, and we can walk through walls. And there's a bit more to it than that. Like, we'll be able to copy and paste individual tiles over. So we'll see at a later point, I'll copy and paste a chest into the correct position so we get the right item out of it later, which is pretty nice. Or we can just copy and paste a floor tile and like paste it like all around Link, so we can use it to just. That's the most often how we use it. So we can use that to just walk through walls. Here's just the intro right now. I think all of my frame mashing was my mashing was pretty decent here. I don't think I lost any time in this section. I did lose a little bit right at the beginning. So the aim of this route is to avoid getting the swords from Hyrule Castle until the very end of the run, because in the previous route for Firerod percent, we first go up to the Hyrule Castle to get a sword. We then go and use that to do a first couple dungeons. Then we go back there later to upgrade it to the blue sword, then go to Palace, then go back a third time. And that backwards and forwards wastes a lot of time. So this run does all of Hyrule Castle once at the very end. And there's our first use of the Firerod there, and we use it to walk over the walls. And here, again, we want to do that to walk through there. The aim at the beginning here is to get to Eslo as quickly as possible, so we're rushing to Minish Woods. There, that is what we call a side transition, where if you're on the left-hand side of an area, you clip out of bounds, and then you hit the left-hand side loading zone, heading right, you do a full screen transition over, and it's like you're touching the loading zone for the right-hand side of that area, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so we just use the Firerod here to hit the trigger for Eslo, and then start doing the fight. We don't have a sword here, so we have to use these bushes to kill the Octos, and I got really unlucky, and the Octo on the right-hand side didn't move initially and decided to shoot a rock, which also broke the other bush I fired at it. So I lost two shots there, and I think I lost 4 seconds because of it. It takes maybe slightly less than that. Ideally, we want Eslo to hit Link's head at just under 3 minutes, so I was a couple of seconds slow there. There's definitely improvement to be had there. And then now we have Eslo, we can shrink. And we're going to shrink, and we're going to go get bombs, because if we don't have a sword, we need something else to be able to deal damage, and that is going to be the sword. That's not going to be the sword, it's going to be bombs. We're going to go for bombs. And if you look at the splits, it's a little bit blurry, but after we get the 30 bomb bag, then we go to Glee Rock. So in order to get the 30 bomb bag, we need 2 sets of bombs. We want the bombs from Bellari, they're pretty quick and easy to go and get. And the other bombs we're going to get is the Krenel Bomb Fairy, and we're going to be able to go there by doing this transition here in the Minish Woods Fairy. We do a side transition like we did at the beginning, and it moves us over to the Krenel one, because when they placed all of these fairies, they placed them all in the same. They placed the rooms all next to each other in the same area, so you can just walk sideways across between the rooms. And yeah, so it's a little bit bugged out because it's not expecting us to have come through that entrance, so all of the sprites are really bugged. But we're now on Mount Krenel. Yeah, a little bit sloppy there, lost 4 seconds. I think a gold would be like a 4:17, 4:16. And we're in Cave of Flames. Cave of Flames is the first dungeon we want to do, because at the end of it, we can go talk to Malari and we get the green sword for free. So we're going to be able to get a sword without having to go to Hyrule Castle. So this is a very valuable dungeon to do, and that's why it's the first dungeon and the first element that we get in this run. Right, so the first tricky fight of the run after, well, the Octos at the start, which isn't really too tricky. Okay, there's where we did the chest use, where we copy and paste the chest down. And here we also copy and paste a ledge tile so that we could hop down in the middle of the arena, and we do some nice timing there to make sure that the bomb explodes perfectly and kills all of them. We're also standing there for a while to get them all to come together very nicely for that. With practice, that fight becomes quite easy to do, actually. We thought it was going to be really tricky to do, but we figured out a way of doing that, which only uses one bomb and is very consistent. So we immediately go on to Gleerock. Gleerock, we have to... This is why we have to get the 30 bomb bag. We can't just use a 10 bomb bag. Gleerock, we have to hit... I think it's a minimum of 11 times. We have to use a minimum of 11 bombs, because we need to hit it 8 times in the first cycle, 8 times in the second cycle, and then 5 times in the third cycle. We can... what we do here is we get the 30 bomb bag and we just chuck bombs as quickly as possible. And it's quite rhythmic, where you're placing a bomb and mashing R to try and throw it. And this is the first major reset point of the run, because it can be quite tricky to pick up the bombs and throw them in time, and sometimes, yeah, you're there pressing B trying to place down a bomb, and the bomb just doesn't place down, and then you press R and then Link's doing the grabbing animation and doesn't grab anything. So that sucks. So we got 8 bomb hits on that first one, and we're going to get 8 more again on this one, spoiler. Yeah, so there I was kind of showing off a little bit there. So the issue with that fight right there was that there can only be 3 bombs in existence at a time, and the way we were setting up and positioning everything was so that we throw the bombs, that they hit Gleerock and then fall into the lava and despawn, so then we can constantly pick up and throw bombs. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of the platform there which doesn't which I accidentally covered over, and the bombs were landing on that and not falling into lava and despawning. So I had to wait for the bombs to explode, and then it was luckily with the timing with the bomb explosion also dealt damage to Gleerock. The bomb explosion and the impact of throwing the bombs both do the same amount of damage to Gleerock. Gleerock's just got a hit counter. Again, that was a gold. I don't know how that was a gold. I think everything just went really smoothly there, and I didn't really mess anything up too majorly. That gold's improvable. I just don't... I messed up the second cycle quite a bit there, but I suspect a couple seconds, maybe 2 seconds at most. I'm not sure too much more could be saved out of that, unless some new strats discovered. But yeah, we've got the fire element now, so we're just going to go talk to Malari and get the sword. So, like how we got to Krenel really quickly, as it turns out, Krenel is actually really early on in the in the room lists for areas, which is super handy. Which means that whenever we're in Krenel, we can very easily go anywhere in the world. We can go to any site, we can do the trick that we did to get to Krenel, but like use it to get to basically anywhere else. So here is one of my major mistakes of the run. I accidentally deleted the loading zone there by pasting over it, so I had to come back into this cave to reload the area and then go back through. And that lost about 8 seconds, so there's 8 seconds of time saved there as well. So in the dojos, all of the dojos are together, so we can use it to go across. All of these are waterfall dojos, so we're skipping off across all of them. The one that we want to go to is this one. There's the ghost, and we're in Castle Wilds. And in Castle Wilds, we need the bow, because, again, we're going to be collecting all of the items needed to beat Vati. The bow is needed for Vati too, so we're going to have to come and get the bow here. Yeah, very nice here. Okay, my capture stuttered for a bit there. But what we did was we just went out of bounds off to the side so that we could roll up without being able to go through there without either using the Gust Jar or the Flippers. When we get the bow, we save and quit to take us back to the grave, because from the grave, we're going to go immediately to Deepwood. So from this grave, we're going to skip over the castle grave, and we're going to go to Lake Hylier's grave at Waveblade. And inside the trees, we can also do the same thing, and we're going from the Waveblade tree to that tree right outside Deepwood Shrine. And using that, we then quickly rush to get to Minish Woods as quickly as possible. Yeah, that movement, using the Firerod there to get rid of that ledge is slightly faster than hopping down the ledge as well. And Fistari's in the way because we haven't got the jabbing up, but we can just walk past him with the Firerod. And we're into Deepwood Shrine at 10 minutes and 49 seconds, which is... sub 11 Deepwood Shrine is a decent Deepwood. So here's a new trick discovered. We timed a number of rolls here. I think it's 12 rolls. Then we use a Firerod a bit, then do 4 more rolls, and you see that there's a shadow on screen. And that puts us exactly where the Madapillar fight is, and that saves about a second over doing the screen transitions to get to that room normally. Also, this Madapillar fight is super easy when you've got the green sword. It's nearly impossible to get a 3-cycle. You have to majorly screw up to get a 3-cycle. It's far harder than to get the 3-cycle than it is in the NE% run. The menu wasn't great there. I lost about half a second because I messed up the menu. But yeah, we get the Gust Jar and we go to Green Chew as quickly as possible. Yeah, skip this room. We just use the Firerod and then roll up into the loading zone to start the fight. Yeah, so the Green Chew fight is so incredibly easy with Firerod. It's even easier than... Hello? Why is my thing lagging so much? Okay. So we use the Firerod there to put the tile that's behind Link inside the doorway, like as a floor tile, so that we can stand there. And now we're invulnerable to... Or, like, we're protected from Green Chew. They can't actually reach us in the position that we're in. So we just sit here and just use the Gust Jar. And it's really easy. One of the things I really enjoy about the Firerod % run is the chews are super easy. We just do this and it makes them incredibly easy to do. I think pretty much all of the fights we have with bosses, we do use the Firerod. Actually, except for Georg and Octo. But yeah, there's the fight. Yeah, really straightforward Green Chew fight. Not much to be said there. Not much difference with between any % and Firerod. We will be grabbing heart containers, though, because heart containers... Health does get a little bit sketchy in the Vati fights. I think if you're insane, you could try and skip the heart containers. But, no, I wouldn't trust it. Actually, later on in this run, you'll see I barely take any damage in the Vati fights, so it's like 100% possible. Maybe I could have done this route with this run without getting the... any heart containers. But yeah, we get out of Minish Village super fast by doing that screen transition there, and it just turns us big instantly, which is super handy. And now we want to go to Droplets as quickly as possible, and this is the route that we do to get there. There's no fancy warps or anything that gets us there faster. I think there was an idea for one which turned out to be like 10 seconds slower, which is unfortunate, but oh well. Deepwood and Temple of Droplets are really close together anyway. And we're going to do some out of bounds movement here to get all the way to the room just before Blue Chew. And from there, we just walk through the bottom transition there, and we're in the fight. We want to open up a little side channel there, because, funnily enough, this room is right next to the Octo room, so we're actually opening up a little transition there to the Octo room. If you've ever seen any other Firerod percent runs, this is all pretty standard. This is exactly the same as the old Templar droplets route for Firerod percent. And again, we do exactly the same thing that we did in the green shoe fight. We make a little gubby hole there and just stand in there, and then use the gust jar, and we're protected here. A little bit slow on that menu as well. I was a little bit cautious. I'm not quite sure. Something was distracting me with the menus. Oh yeah, I saved 22 seconds on the green shoe split, even though I lost 8 seconds. I should have. I've still got another 8 seconds on that green shoe thing, so. I suspect up to this point, there's about 16 seconds of time saved that could be made. Yeah, Blue Chew here is just going to be complete RNG, whether or not they're going to jump whilst they're electrified. Here we got the 5 jump, which is ideally the best pattern to get for Green Chew, because not Green Chew, Blue Chew. Yeah, and that's Blue Chew done. So much easier than any percent. We can just sit there and wait. And we get the lantern because, I mean, we could have leaked the lantern for literally everything else in the run. The only reason why we need the lantern is for Octo. We have to have it. And now we have to do Octo without the shield and without boots, so not Manipped. And it's just going to be RNG, and there's nothing we can really do about it. I did come up with another route which does get the boots, and it's 30 seconds slower. So you could... You can go for Octo Manips. We would have to develop an Octo Manip for Firerod percent, which isn't fantastic. Yeah, so here we're just having to time sword presses and use them and hopefully not get hit by the rock every time we use the sword. There's always that risk when using sword on Octo. I'm mixing it up here, just kind of like going into different positions, but this is a little bit slower. Ideally staying in that corner is best. But when I went into the corner that I was just in, it meant that I could just mash and my sword is going to be in the right position. Yeah, this Octo was just a bit like, I didn't really care too much. I was just like, I'm just going to just stand wherever I feel like it. This could all be sped up a lot more. There's one, the first suck cycle, so yeah. There's the first ink. Yeah, so spoilers, this is a 2-ink Octo, which is awful. It loses a minute over getting 0 ink. The fight would be over now. Yeah, get an extra bash there. I got a triple here, mashing the sword, and it doesn't hit. And then I didn't get the rest of the triple because if you land the first hit of when Octo was supposed to fire 3 shots there, and it's something new that I've discovered is that if you hit and knock back the first rock, and you miss the second rock, he doesn't fire a third one, he just instantly inks, which is just awful, and I hate it so much. And then, yeah, we get another... So it was even worse than a 2-ink, it was a 2.5 ink. It would have been a 3-ink, because he decided to do an ink at the start, to do the suck there, so yeah. Really bad Octo, lose a bunch of time, and... OBS decided to, like, everything's going wrong with my my setup recently. OBS decided to stop capturing my my timer, so I was actually I was ahead of PB by 6 seconds here, which isn't good. Yeah, so I'd say about a minute 20 of time save up to this point in the run. Damn, can my thing stop doing that? There we go. Wait, can we... I am viewing this at 720p. Why is it lagging so much? Hello? Okay, YouTube's just lagging. Okay, now we're done with Templar Droplets. We go to town. There's a few things that we want to get from town before we go to Palace. In fact, one of the things we need is that we need to activate the fusion with the guy, the stranger here. So we grab the Kinstone. Luckily, Kinstones get kept in your inventory even if you don't have the Kinstone bag. Yeah, the Kinstone bag only activates certain fusions, and unfortunately the stranger in town is one of the fusions that requires the Kinstone bag in your inventory before he offers the fusion. Fusions like the ones in Cloudtops you can do without the Kinstone bag, which is odd. And unfortunately, there we have to save and quit to get out of that that cutscene. If you can break out of that cutscene, you get soft locked into this constant animation of this constant thing where he's constantly telling you something. It was in Japanese, so I never read what it said. But he's constantly talking to you every time you're not in that square directly in front of him. So you're effectively soft locked. So there's no way out of that cutscene. You have to save and quit, or do the fusion. Oh, okay. There was a bit of time lost there. It's about a second or so. And we also want to get the spin attack, because spin attack is going to be very useful in order to do the Georg fight. We're actually going to go and do Georg with only the green sword, and that's going to cause some issues because it means that we can only hit Georg and make Georg vulnerable if they give us specific eye patterns, because we can't create clones to hit all of the eyes. And here we're going to do like the any percent strat. We would normally use OG here in any percent, but we're just going to use the Firerod to walk into all of the staircases to get our way up to Palace of Winds. But yeah, with the Georg fight, we do an RNG manipulation here to make sure that Georg gives us the exact eyes patterns that we want, and then we can kill the Georg with only the green sword and without having to create any clones. The manip is pretty tricky. It takes a very long time to learn. It took me a long time to develop this, but I feel like it's super consistent, and I could pick up the run at this point. Like, I could just start doing this right now if I wanted to, and with very high likelihood get a Georg manip pretty much all the way through. And there we save and quit right at the entrance of Palace, and then all of this is the manip. Here we just count the number of rolls that we do in each room. So the first one's 4, second one is 1, this room is 6. Sword slashes and rolls count as 1 RNG progression. And it's actually really important that we never get the Smith's Sword in the run up to this point, because if you notice, there's no enemies anywhere, and the enemies don't actually spawn in until you get the Smith's Sword with the King cutscene at the beginning of the game, and because we avoided that, no enemies have spawned in. Yeah, this is all pretty easy. Just make sure that you're doing exactly the same movements here, and all of the rolls are exactly the same. You can do rolls in different places. Like if you do an extra roll in a room by accident, you just do one less in the next room. This is a little bit tricky here. We're holding up this whole way. RNG is constantly changing in that room, and to check if we get the correct RNG value, we pick up this skull and throw it. If it's a green rupee, that's your green flag to tell you that you're on the correct RNG value, and you can go straight into the fight. If you don't get a green rupee, you do 2 sword slashes. If you get a blue rupee, then you only do 1 sword slash. I think. I'll double check that. And here we stand in the position there. We get a good pattern for the first one, so we kind of know at this point, okay, we are definitely on the correct pattern there. We did 6 sword slashes at the start there. Do a spin attack, and this is where this fight starts to become tricky. We do very precise pixel alignments there to make sure that we are doing our spin attack in the right positions. We're doing movements here to avoid the eye shots as well, counting our hits and making sure that we hit exactly 4 eyes with every single one of those sword slashes. If any of those sword slashes were misaligned and we hit less eyes, it would kill the Minip and run would be over. So that's a very precise and a very difficult part of the run. At this point, I knew that the Minip was perfect and I was going to nail it. Here we make sure we do 10 slashes there, and then do another spin attack here. We do 7 slashes here, which is going to leave 1 slash after we kill the last eyes there, and then the fight's pretty much done at this point. We do 1 spin attack here to hit and kill that eye, do us another spin attack, and the fight's over. Unfortunately, I missed that attack, but it's pretty fine at this point if you miss that final spin attack, because you can go, you can hit that pattern without having to do a spin attack. Oh. I turned my mic on there. Yeah, I was pretty happy with nailing the Georg Minip. This is going to be a fat gold here. There's still definitely time save. 100% there's definitely time save on that split.
World record pace.
Yeah. Yeah, at that point I knew I was on world record pace. I was on my fastest ever time. This is best out of Georg. And now we have all of the elements, so we go to Hyrule Castle, and we're going to get the Four Sword. Now, we could go straight to the Sanctuary and get the Four Sword straight away. Oh, I accidentally did a Sword Slash there instead of used a Firerod. That's fine, at least it's like half a second. Oh, here we're going to do a nice transition here. This is pretty cool. We're going to go say hi to Dampé. It's actually faster to get to Hyrule Castle this way. We do a little warp there to move from Link's house to Dampé's house. Oh yeah, and we also fall into the water there, unfortunately, so that loses like another half second. Okay, and then yeah, we go across the moat and we go enter Hyrule Castle this way. We want to avoid the cut. This is the very long cutscene with Vati winning the tournament and opening the chest and everything. So we make sure to walk around the triggers for everything there. It's just run over if you activate the trigger at that point, so you stay nice and clear. And then we elevate ourselves to an upper position here so that we can just walk over all of the walls and everything without having to use the Firerod every 2 seconds. Yeah, so we have to watch this cutscene, unfortunately. Vati 1 doesn't spawn if this cutscene hasn't been watched, which is really disappointing, unfortunately. We could easily cut out a big chunk of time from the run if we didn't have to watch this cutscene. Because we would be able to go immediately to the Sanctuary. I think it would save 40 seconds, something like that. Which would be huge. It would mean that like a 35-minute run may be possible. And the task would be able to get like a really low 30-minute time, maybe even sub-30. But yeah, now we go to the Sanctuary. It saves just over a minute, wow. I'm guessing you were talking about the Georg Minip? Yeah, so the new Georg Minip I came up with is super consistent for the 3rd cycle. Yeah. The hardest part is now actually the 2nd red cycle. 3rd and 4th is super... Well, 4th was always Super 3, but the 3rd one is now much easier. And the final blue one is 100% consistent now as well. Oh yeah, at the beginning of the Sanctuary, we did some movement off to the side there to make sure that we didn't hit the trigger of first entering the Sanctuary and like the camera slowly pans up, and we saved a lot of time there. Also, in between every time we use the pedestal to upgrade our sword, we do need to exit and re-enter the room. You can't just stay in the room and constantly do the pedestal over and over again. No, also with when we get our red sword there, we do have to do the cloning tutorial. But yeah, we're doing that movement there to leave and re-enter the room as quickly as possible. I don't think there is a quicker way of leaving and entering that room. A sub 30 minutes Force Sword is 100% possible. Like just if I got 0 ink Octo, I would have got it this run. And here we're doing a nice wraparound transition there from top down to get out of there without activating the cutscene. That was some very nice movement there, really happy about that. Overall, this split, I gold this split by 12 seconds. Yeah, 12 second gold. I don't know how I saved that much time there, that was insane. I think it was just, I don't know. I felt like I was on world record pace and just knew what to do. And now we go for the fights. So first fight we're going to come up to is the Dark Nut fight. Oh yeah, absolutely, sub 30 enter DHC is 100% possible. I would have got that this run if I got a 0 ink Octo. Yeah, we're just doing some out of bounds movement there to get to the gauntlet as quickly as possible. And then we just use the one of the uses of the Firerod as well, if you didn't already notice, is that you're invulnerable to damage whilst you're using the Firerod. So we can just use it to stay invulnerable, which is super nice. Okay, this is a new strat I discovered for the Dark Nuts. If we copy and paste the floor tiles from inside that area, the Dark Nuts get stuck here, and then we can just pin them against the wall that they're supposedly pinned against. This is an awful Dark Nut fight, by the way. It's so much faster. Like I've got a clip in the Discord of me doing it in about half the time of that. Yeah, and I got hit a bunch there, so I decided that I was going to go get a heart there. 6 second gold, definitely improvable. Can save another 5 seconds at least on that split. I would say there's about 2 minutes of time save up to this point. I'm not sure if there's too much time save in the rest of this. I think my Vati 1 was pretty good. I might have lost some time here, I'm not sure. That was a sloppy menu again. Should have. I wanted to swap, equip Gust Jar and then swap Sword over. I was also really cautious about my health there, so I decided to get the Fairy early. That was a bad decision by me. I should have waited until a later point in the fight when Vati's doing lots of teleports around, because I could have mitigated the time loss from the teleports by getting the Fairy during that time. And also, if I was on lower health, I would have got more utility out of that Fairy as well. Right, and I think I do get the 5 cycle here, which is ideal. Yeah, a little bit trolley with the teleports. Yeah. Not a terrible Vati 1, that's pretty fine. I was happy with that for that run. Definitely improvable. It was 6 seconds slower than my gold. I'm not sure the gold's too improvable. And I saved 6 seconds over PB as well, so... Now, this is another strat I've got for Vati 2. We just copy and paste a little blob of the clone tiles there. This means that no matter how much he shoots the purple goop, it's not going to prevent you from creating your clones. And in fact, just there, we create a vertical line of clones, and we can just keep on doing the fight. I missed one arrow shot there, which is unfortunate. And we get trolled here because Vati decides that, well, the left-hand side is going to be what side is vulnerable, and he goes and stands on the left-hand side of the arena. So I have to try and move around him to get there, and then my clones get broken by a rock that lands on my head, so really bad RNG there. Vati, you always get a troll in Vati 2, so that's understandable. I don't think there's any other major mistakes in this fight. Really good. Last two arrow shots there got damage cancelled, which I was really happy with. And in my... Here I was super nervous. I was like, no, I don't want to lose another clone. But I managed to dodge any of the... Oh, well, I say dodge. I got lucky and he didn't fire any purple shots towards me, which was super good. And then finished the fight. Very happy with that Vati 2. Lost 10 seconds over gold. I think my PB was gold for that, so yeah, I lost 10 seconds over PB, which isn't great. Well, closer to 9 seconds. I think it's only just a little bit... I think my gold is only a little bit slower than optimal, so maybe... no more than 5 seconds, I think, on Vati 2. Especially with how we used the Firerod at the beginning of the fight to make it consistent and make sure that we don't get our clones... we don't get the purple spikes from blocking us. That loses some time over an optimal fight. Yeah, we use the Firerod there to get that pot of a fairy and then move out of bounds to get to the Vati 3 fighters quickly as possible. I think it is slower... I'm not sure about that, actually. I think maybe using the Firerod and just heading directly there and avoiding the fairy is faster, possibly. Yeah, and here we're just using the Firerod to make sure that Vati can't hit us. Firerod's pretty nice for keeping us alive, which is handy. Really nice RNG from Vati 3 there. Decided to act very quickly and give us a favourable arm. He decided to use the inside arm, which is always the one you want first. Because if he uses the outside one, then the inside one's going to be there, like, swinging around and hitting you whilst you're trying to get inside the outside arm, which sucks. But yeah, so really good RNG from Vati 3 so far. Yeah, nice prompt with the second arm there. I decided to go for a swag portal item cane shot. I was too slow. I knew this was world record, so I wanted to show off a little bit, and I didn't lose too much time, but I would have saved a couple seconds there if I actually got it. Nice arms, nice fights inside those arms. The eyes were in pretty nice places and let me pin it in place pretty nicely. Got robbed here. Decided to do an electric attack. Lost quite a few seconds there. Yeah. I think I lost like 5 seconds there. Okay, I lost 5 seconds, so that wouldn't have... I still wouldn't have got the sub 38. If I got good Octo, I would have 100% got the sub 38. If I didn't mess up in Krenel, it would have been sub 38 as well, yeah. And then here it's just doing Vati volleys. Heart pounding ridiculously because I knew this was world record and I did not want to mess up a single one of these. But I've done Vati enough times now to be confident in being able to do this. And
let's fucking go! Oh my god, yes!
And that's time.
Holy shit!
We'll pause it there, and then I talk about the run after this point, but I pretty much just repeat what I've been saying so far with this commentary of the run. Yeah, I think that's it. That's the new Firerod % world record with the new route. If you'd like to try this route, good luck. Hope you have better RNG than I do. I did like 20 attempts that day, and none of them got a 0 ink Octo. I got obscenely bad luck. So yeah, you would need 0 ink Octo I don't know. Maybe if you get a 2 ink Octo and just have better execution than me, you could get world record. But I think you'd need a 0 ink Octo. This world record isn't. I'm gonna say it's not even good. Like, it's just a competent run, which was faster than every other run so far. No one else is running this route, so anyone who tries running this route will probably be able to get a better run than this after enough practice. The hardest parts of the run are Georg Manip. You really have to practice that and nail it. The Vati fights are hard. They're always hard. Practice Vati. Everyone who plays this game knows how difficult Vati is and how inconsistent it becomes, and how just bad luck in RNG can just lose you minutes at a time. I had a run which was on world record pace a couple of weeks prior to this, and it died to Vati 2 and Vati 3 because I got bad luck, and then got tilted and then lost even more time because I was bad. Yeah, I foresee a 36-minute time being 100% possible as a 36-minute time. This would have been a low 37 if I got good Octo, and then there's just other improvements that would allow you to get a 36-minute time. Yeah, I think that is it from me. So thank you for watching, and I'll end that here.